When it comes to the gear that we use for backpacking, what items should we invest our money into and what items should we try to go budget on? Today we're talking about gear that you should never go cheap on. But the question to ask is, what's the difference between cheap and budget? Because they, in my mind, are not the same thing. Cheap is sacrificing performance to save a buck. And those performance aspects that you need from a piece of gear are super critical to making sure that your experience in the backcountry is as good as it possibly can be. So what are the items that you should invest your money into so that you don't sacrifice performance by going cheap? The first piece of gear, and one of the most important pieces, I think, is your shelter system. Whether that is a tent, a bivy and tarp, or a hammock system, I feel that this is one item where going cheap could really cost you. Your shelter needs to do a few things for you. It needs to protect you from the elements like rain, snow, wind, etc. And it also needs to provide bug protection when bugs are really bad. A shelter system that fails to provide proper protection could end a backpacking trip, and it could lead to unnecessary exposure and end up costing you more money down the road. So my advice is to do your research and find the shelter system that checks the boxes of what you need performance-wise, and look for gear that has a known quality reputation. The nice thing with the tent, for example, is there's a lot of great budget-friendly options such as the Paria Outdoor Products Bryce, the Nature Hike Vic, or the Lanshan series of tents. All of these under or around $200. Just be mindful of where you're shopping from when it comes to searching for lower priced geared items. Now, when it comes to trying to save money on your backpacking gear, you could actually find yourself on some pretty sketchy websites. By doing that, your personal information could be leaked. You could end up with fraud with your credit card information. And that's where a service like Aura, who is the sponsor of today's video, can really help you get those protections that you need when browsing and spending time on the internet. But in addition to that, Aura provides so many other services around identity theft protection, around fraud prevention on your financial accounts, searching for your information on the dark web, and removing your information from just spammy type of services. And Aura is a fantastic low-cost option that can provide a lot of protection for you and your family to make it so that you don't have those issues by browsing around on unsecured networks and being on sketchy websites that do collect personal information that seem too good to be true and then end up costing you big time down the road. In fact, my wife and I recently had some credit card information stolen, and thankfully our bank did help us with the orders that were placed on AliExpress with our card information. But having a service like Aura would have really helped us at the time know that, hey, your information has been leaked, you've got issues, let's help you take care of it. They even have a VPN. So if you find yourself on an unsecured network, turn on that VPN and you can have your information protected and know that nobody's going to be able to steal your information. Aura is seriously fantastic. So I've got a link here on the screen and in the description for you to get a 14-day free trial to try Aura and check it out. I guarantee you'll enjoy it, and I highly, highly recommend it. And I want to thank Aura for sponsoring today's video. Now, the next pieces of gear I feel like you should never go cheap on is your sleep system. That is going to consist of your sleeping bag, your pillow, and the sleeping pad that you use for sleeping. I feel like your sleep system needs to accomplish two things. One, it needs to be comfortable. Investing in sleep is so important, because if you are getting a terrible night of sleep, then what's the point of going out there? Because you're going to end up not enjoying yourself the next day for the hiking that you've got planned for the day. Just good sleep is so important. And your sleep system also needs to keep you warm. If you go out into the backcountry and you just freeze while you're sleeping and you're just not enjoying yourself, then you are just not going to have a good experience. And so I do feel like investing into your sleep system is really, really, really important because it provides a good experience. Let's talk about sleeping pads first, because a good sleeping pad makes a huge, huge difference in your ability to stay warm and comfortable. A good insulated pad like this Big Agnes Rapide SL, something like the Nemo Quasar 3D, or the Etherlight XT from Sea to Summit are all fantastic options that I think are some of the most comfortable sleeping pads on the market. And one thing that I think people forget very often is the fact that a sleeping pad is a huge contributor to your ability to sleep warm and keep yourself off of the cold ground. And so using an insulated sleeping pad, even in the summertime, can be what makes the difference in just simply having a good night of sleep. Now, going cheap on a sleeping pad could lead to issues in the sense that it's not going to be tested for an accurate R value. Maybe it's an advertised R value, but if it does not have that ASTM rating on it to give you the accurate R value rating, then you are rolling the dice on what that experience is going to be like for yourself. Do not go cheap on a sleeping pad. Invest your money into something that is going to provide you warmth and comfort and just be great for all sorts of different sleeping styles. You will thank me later if you just invest your money into a good sleeping pad. Quickly, let's talk about pillows, because I think a pillow is super, super underrated, and people think, oh, I'll just roll up a bunch of my extra clothes and my jacket and put it into my sleeping bag stuff sack and I'll sleep on that. Not gonna work for me. I absolutely need a high quality pillow for me to enjoy my night of sleep in the backcountry. And pillows like this Nemo Pillow are not overly expensive. They're about 35, 40 bucks, and the quality of sleep that you get by using a good pillow like this makes a huge difference. But what about sleeping bags or quilts? Why is investing your money and not going cheap on a bag that important? Because you might think, dude, I see some bags out there that are $400, $450, $500 plus. Do I really need to spend that kind of money on a sleeping bag to have a good time out on a backpacking trip? No, you do not necessarily have to spend that much money, but the feature aspects of a quality sleeping bag make a huge difference in your experience. So looking for things like, does the bag have a differential cut, which just means that the inside fabric of the bag is smaller than the outside fabric, which in turn makes it so that you don't have cold spots in that sleeping bag because you can't extend and push against the outside wall of the sleeping bag that then just eliminates the loft on the bag and makes it so you have cold spots and such. So investing into a bag that has the design aspects that truly create comfort and warmth for you will make a huge difference. And the nice thing is, in a lot of cases, if you buy like a 20-degree rated sleeping bag, that's the one bag that you would need for pretty much every single trip that you would go on in a 3-season setting. So yes, invest your money into a high quality, good sleep system. Now, the last pieces of gear to talk about that you should never go cheap on is a high quality, good pair of shoes and socks. These are items that make a huge difference in your experience. Blisters are probably the most annoying thing when it comes to being out on the trail. Your feet hurting and having issues is just, it's not fun. Investing into a really high quality sock makes a huge, huge difference. My personal favorite sock is the Flight XT Trail from Swiftwick. This is a sock that's full of features that help prevent blisters, keep the sock in place on your foot, and really it's just a great option. But the second part of the equation is a great shoe, and everybody's foot shape and size and thing is different. So you've got to really do your research and go on and try a bunch of different shoes so that you find a shoe that works the best for you. My personal favorite is the Danner Trail 2650. This is a really lightweight, great, stable, just awesome hiking shoe that I've thoroughly enjoyed, that has made it so that I can spend a lot of time walking and not have foot issues. I really enjoy the Danner Trail 2650. But getting a shoe that fits your foot properly and allows for your foot to splay and just give you the comfort that you need for long days on the trail, that's what's important. You might need to go through a few different types of shoes for you to figure that out, but once you figure out that shoe that makes the most sense for you and your foot, run with it. That wasn't meant to be a joke, but there you go. I appreciate you guys watching today. If you're not subscribed to the channel, obviously you know what to do. Hope you have an awesome day. Catch you on the next one. See you later.